Dolly Parton never had to shrink to be loved, and neither should you. Welcome to the Playbook. I am your host, Amanda Carroll, your dating strategist to help you get the life and the love that you crave and that you deserve. Every episode of the Playbook is another play that you run in your life to win. Just like a football coach has a playbook for his team to win, I'm giving you the playbook of what you need to do to find a healthy, committed, high-value man to be your equal. I'm so glad you're here. I did something today that probably sounds a little ridiculous. When I heard that Dolly Parton died, recording this on Tuesday, August 25th, I was shocked. I feel like all of us are going to remember where we were when we heard this news. And almost immediately, I thought, I need red nails. Like bright red, unapologetically, obnoxiously, Dolly Parton red with the lashes and bright red lipstick. It just felt like the most Dolly way I could think to honor her. So I went to get a mani-pedi. And as I sat there, I realized I needed to completely change the podcast that I had planned to drop today. Sitting in the pedicure chair, looking at this bright red nail polish, I started reading about Dolly, her life, her career, and eventually her marriage, 60 years, to a man named Carl Dean. And as I'm reading, I had this thought that stopped me. Dolly Parton never had to become less Dolly to be in love. She became richer, more famous, more powerful, more ambitious, right? More outrageous, more flamboyant, more successful, more Dolly. And the man she chose never seemed to require her to become smaller so he could feel more significant. And suddenly I was not necessarily thinking about losing Dolly anymore. I was thinking about you. Because this is why who you choose matters so much. The person you choose will either expand what is possible for your life or quietly limit it. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how to tell which man you're choosing. Let's get into it. Before we get into Dolly's story, though, if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, Amanda, but how do I actually know if I'm choosing the right man? I hear you. That's exactly what I teach in my free live training. I call it the game plan. It's completely free. I'm going to teach you how to stop dating to be chosen and start dating with an actual strategy for choosing. Because you can have an incredible chemistry with a man who is completely wrong for your life. We have all been there, me too. You need a way to tell the difference before you've given him 6 months, 2 years, or another freaking decade. The game plan is free. It's my gift to you. Come live with me on Monday. I'll put the registration link in the show notes. If you can't make that time, it's not a big deal. I'll send you the replay, okay? Just get the information, sign up. Now let's talk about Dolly. I want you to picture her before everything you know about her, okay? Before the rhinestones, before the wigs, before Jolene, before I Will Always Love You, before the movies and Dollywood and the businesses and the awards and the millions of people knowing her name. She's 18. She just graduated from high school. The very next day, she moves to Nashville at 18 years old with a dream. That is it. And on her first day in Nashville, she meets this 21-year-old guy outside the laundromat called the Wishy Washy Laundromat. True story. His name is Carl Dean. She later said that one of the first things she noticed was that when he talked to her, he looked at her in the face. He was interested in her, not just her body. 2 years later, they were married. Then she's 20. And I want you to really understand this part because Carl Dean did not marry Dolly Parton, right? She was a different woman. He couldn't have. She didn't exist yet, right? He married a 20-year-old young girl with a very big dream. Neither one of them had any idea how big that dream was about to become. And neither do you right now about your dream, by the way. You have no idea who you're going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. So when you choose someone, You aren't only choosing him for the woman that you are today, you're choosing him for every single version of you that's coming next. And at 50, I'm here to tell you, I'm not done yet. I'm still chasing down dreams, and I've been a lot of different versions of me, including lots of different colors of hair. So imagine now this 20-year-old version of Dolly or 18-year-old version of Dolly, if she had taken some of today's dating advice by the bros. And this is where it might make you a little mad, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Imagine 20-year-old Dolly Parton coming to someone for dating advice. She says, I want to be a star. I want to travel. I want thousands of people looking at me. I'm going to work with powerful men. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm ambitious. I'm going to wear whatever I want. I'm going to have big boobs. I'm going to take up a lot of space. And imagine someone saying, well, Dolly, be careful because he might be a little intimidating. Maybe you need to soften. Maybe you're too independent. Men need to feel needed, so you've got to let him lead you. Don't be so focused on your career. Your greatest gift is wife and mother. Be careful about outshining him. Maybe you need to be more feminine if you want to attract a masculine man. Since when was it successful to just be masculine and not feminine? Can you imagine telling Dolly Parton all of those things? To be more feminine? She's wearing rhinestones, hair 3 feet above her head. How much more feminine do you want her to get? But seriously, imagine if she had listened to some of the advice that you're listening to right now. Imagine if instead of asking, is this man secure enough for the life that I'm trying to build? She had spent her 20s asking, how do we become less intimidating so a man is going to choose me? We wouldn't have had Dolly Parton if she listened to some of the dating advice that's available today. I want you to hear me on this, please, girl. If your dating strategy requires you to become less successful, less ambitious, less independent, less outspoken, or less you in any way in order to attract a man, maybe you aren't the problem. Maybe the strategy is. Dolly didn't need to learn how to become smaller so Carl would choose her. Thank God she didn't hear that. She needed to choose a man secure enough to stand beside a woman who was going to become enormous. That's when her life started expanding. Dolly's career begins taking off. Early on, Carl attends an industry event with her. He hates it. And afterward, he basically tells her, you go do this. I love you. I wish you all the success in the world, but don't make me go to these things and be a part of this again. And at first, I was kind of mad for her. I'm like, what do you mean? He's not being very supportive. But he's the most supportive husband I think that ever lived when we hear about their love story. Because he didn't need to become Mr. Dolly Parton. He didn't need her spotlight. He didn't need to insert himself into her career to feel more important. He had his own business. I think it was like asphalt or gravel or something. He had his own identity, his own life. Dolly later described Carl as very secure within himself. Oh God, yes, that's what you want. Just those 4 words. If you're choosing someone to spend your life with, those 4 matters. Imagine if Dolly had married an insecure man that was really jealous of all of her performances and the actors that she worked with. Imagine if she would have married an insecure man that was intimidated by her money and didn't have his own business too. Ooh, it would be a completely different story. Those 4 words matter. A secure man does not need your success to mean his failure. Your independence does not automatically mean you don't need him. Your ambition does not automatically mean he is not enough. Your expansion in life doesn't require his contraction. And they were incredibly different humans. She loved people. He loved privacy. She traveled. He stayed home. She wanted stages to perform on. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. She became one of the most recognizable women on earth. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. He was so private that people joked he didn't exist. They didn't need to become the same person to stay married. They gave each other room to remain themselves. I love that. Oh, and then there was the song Jolene. Okay, this wasn't a perfect fairy tale, their relationship. Here's how the story goes. This is a little bit lore. I'm pretty sure this is close to the true story, okay? There was this beautiful redhead bank teller. Apparently, she had a bit of a crush on Carl, according to Dolly. And apparently, Carl wasn't exactly devastated by the attention that she was getting. And Dolly joked that Carl was suddenly making an awful lot of trips to the bank for two people who didn't have much money at the time. Dolly was a little jealous. Dolly Parton? Jealous? Human, but she wasn't really Dolly Parton yet at this point. And she took that feeling and wrote one of the most iconic songs in music history. That's really important too. Choosing well doesn't mean nothing uncomfortable ever happens in your relationship. It doesn't mean nobody screws up. It doesn't mean you never fight. It doesn't mean you never feel jealous. Choosing well means you go through the messy parts of being human without abandoning yourself completely to keep the relationship. Dolly made Dolly. Carl did not make Dolly successful. Dolly made herself. Right? Her talent, her ambition, her creativity, her willingness to take risks. That woman built that life. Thank God she didn't settle to be a trad wife. But here's the thought that hit me today. Imagine if Carl had tried to stop her, or imagine if she grew up in the world we're in now, where the evangelical church tries to convince women that that's their best use. Imagine every tour. Again, every male co-star. Why are you working with him? Says the insecure man. Every fantastic outfit. Do you really need to wear that? Have you heard that too? Every new business venture. Don't we already have enough? Every success. Well, what about me? I don't feel special. Oh my God. Imagine every opportunity requiring a negotiation with her husband. Every accomplishment creating tension. Every time her light got brighter, she had to dim a little bit before walking through her own front door. Eventually, you stop taking the opportunity in a situation like that. I did when I was newly married the first time, and I completely regret it. Not because he would explicitly forbid her from doing anything, although there's a lot of men that are doing that right now. Because you don't just want to deal with the reaction. That's what I did. Maybe you don't wear the dress. Maybe you don't wear the red lipstick or the red nails. Maybe you don't take the trip. Maybe you don't start the business or talk to that coworker. Maybe you soften your good news before you bring it home. And this is what I really want you to hear me out and understand. Sometimes the wrong relationship doesn't necessarily blow up your whole life, but it quietly puts a ceiling on the life that you might have built. And you may never know what was going to be above it. And this is exactly why I do this podcast. And it's why I create free trainings for you, like the game plan, because nobody taught us how to evaluate this stuff. You were taught to ask, does he like me? Is he attracted to me? Does he want commitment? Is he going to choose me? I want you asking completely different questions about people you're dating. Is he consistent? Is he emotionally healthy? Does his behavior match what he says? Is there room in his life for the life I'm building? Is this actually a man worth choosing? That's what we're doing together in my free live training. I call it the game plan. It's Monday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can sign up completely. You can sign up completely for free. And if you can't make it live, no big deal. You watch the replay. So just sign up. No risk. Come run the game plan with me and learn how to make a wise choice to find a healthy, equal partner, not a jealous man that's going to limit you. Now, because I want this episode to simply make you feel something, I want to show you exactly what to do that, okay? Because I completely deleted the episode that I had for this week planned for you, and we're doing something different. I want to talk about the play. Every episode is a play that I want you to run in your life to get the love that you want. And we're going to start with that right now. A man probably isn't going to announce on date 3 that he wants you to shrink. I'd like to slowly make your life smaller over the next 15 years, but it happens really quickly. You share an opportunity and you notice the mood change, right? You get attention in a room and all of a sudden he's distant afterwards and causes a fight. You make more money and all of a sudden it becomes a joke and he teases you about it. You take a trip with him and you take a trip without him and you're made to feel selfish for doing it. You disagree with him and you're labeled difficult. You become more confident and you hear, you've changed. Eventually you learn. You soften the good news. You hide. You make the accomplishment sound smaller. Worse, you don't even go for the promotions. You don't mention the opportunity. You stop talking about the dream. You begin managing his reaction before you've even decided what you want. And nobody explicitly told you to shrink, but the relationship trained you to shrink. And one day, your life fits perfectly inside the boundaries of someone else's comfort. That's what shrinking actually looks like. Compromise is not diminishment. And before somebody hears this and thinks I'm saying healthy relationships don't require a sacrifice, of course they do. Sometimes you don't take the trip. Sometimes you change the plan. Sometimes his come first. Sometimes yours do. That's partnership. Compromise says, how do we make this work? Diminishment says, how do you become smaller so I can stay comfortable? Those are not the same thing. And I never want you confusing them again. So here's how we run the Dolly play, is what I'm selecting for this episode. I want you to run it. This is how to find a partner that elevates your life instead of diminishes it. Number 1, to run this play, stop asking whether you're too much. Every time you catch yourself listening to one of the bros on Instagram or TikTok, every time you catch yourself saying, am I too successful, too independent, too opinionated, too ambitious, too intimidating? Should I not show that off on my dating profile? Stop. Wrong questions. Does this man have enough security within himself to make room for all of me? That's the right question you should be asking. You're not trying to become universally appealing to everyone on Hinge. You are choosing selectively, okay? Stop thinking that there's anything wrong with you for being an ambitious woman. Step 2, show him something big. Don't audition with the smallest, easiest love. Don't audition with the smallest, easiest to love version of yourself on the first or second date, or even on the dating app. Tell him something you're really proud of, an accomplishment. Tell him about the promotion you got. Tell him about the business. Tell him about the dream. Have the opinion. Wear the thing with the nails and the lipstick. Take up space, be loud, and then watch how he responds. Does he get curious? Does he celebrate it with you? Does he ask questions, or does he tease, minimize, compete, withdraw, redirect the conversation back to himself? Don't you shrink to test compatibility. It's the worst thing you could ever do. Would Dolly do that? Would Dolly shrink? Would Dolly ever not be Dolly? No, she would not. In order to honor her, we must look for a partner that allows us to be outlandish and as flamboyant as we want to be. Expand your life and watch what happens with your dating life. Step 3 of the Dolly play. Watch him when you win. I actually want you paying more attention to how he responds to your good news than your bad news, okay? Tell him, got the job, got the promotion, landed the client. Someone asked you to speak. You had the biggest month ever. You accomplished something you're proud of. Then watch his face, okay? Almost anyone can say to a bad day, oh, I'm sorry that happened. But pay attention to the man who can genuinely say, that's incredible. Tell me everything. Don't only watch how he holds you when you're hurting. Watch how he handles when you're shining. I remember when I met my husband on Hinge, I started implementing the Playbook, which I teach all of my clients, and I became very intimidating on dating apps. And I had my title, National Syndicated Radio Host. That was my job. And he wanted to know everything about it. A lot of other men were intimidated, and I completely cut them off the list. But he leaned in. And even as we're dating, was with me at speaking engagements, passing out my flyers. My biggest fan. Got a license plate cover with my website on it. On his car, not mine. Okay, step number 4. Test independence before commitment. This is so important. You must keep your friendships. You must have plans without him. Take the trip. Keep the hobby. Have a Saturday that doesn't revolve around him. Healthy connection does not require complete absorption. Healthy connection does not require complete absorption into this man's life. Watch what happens when your world does not revolve around him. That's data. I look back and I think about when I should have broken up with this man I was actually engaged to after my divorce, before I met my now husband. And I remember early on, I went to get my nails done. And he was mad when I came over to his house. I was supposed to come over to his house for dinner. He had made tacos and he had to wait. He was mad. I was like, it was our first fight. I was like, well, don't you understand that nails is a variable of how long that takes? It depends on the nail tech. Like, it depends on how many people are there. Like, I'm not going to give you a specific time. I should have known if that was such a big deal, that everything was going to be a big deal. Data, don't ignore stuff like that, okay? Step 5 for the Dolly play. Run the future you test. Okay, this is a big one. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Not smaller, but bigger. Dolly size. Maybe you make twice what you make now. Maybe you start the company. Maybe you write the book. Maybe you travel more. Maybe you're more confident, more outspoken, more visible, more powerful. Now put that woman beside this man that you're talking to right now and ask, who do I get to become beside him? What parts of myself would I eventually have to give up to keep this relationship peaceful? Don't you answer based on what he promises. Answer based on now, on what his behavior has already shown you. If you need to walk, girl, you walk. Step 6, know your Dolly rule. Okay, here it is. Never choose a man who requires your diminishment as the price of his love. Write that one down. Never choose a man who requires your diminishment as the price of his love. That's the Dolly play. Choose like Dolly. When Carl Dean married Dolly Parton, she was 20 years old. She wasn't Dolly yet. She was a young woman with a dream, though. He couldn't possibly have known what she would become. She couldn't have known. And that's the part of their story I can't stop thinking about. Carl didn't make Dolly. Dolly made Dolly. But she didn't have to spend her life convincing the person beside her that her light wasn't a threat to his. And I want that for you. Because you have no idea yet how big your life could become. You haven't met every version of yourself yet. So please, don't choose someone who needs to know where your ceiling is. Choose someone who gives you room to find out. run the Dolly play and choose well. And if this episode made you realize you spent a lot more time learning how to get a man to choose you and learning how. And if today's episode made you realize, and if this episode made you realize you spent a lot more time learning how to get a man to choose you than learning how to decide whether you should choose him, come to the game plan. It's my free live training. That's why I created it. I'm going to teach you this strategy I wish I would have been given and you would have been given from the beginning. How to date with intention, how to vet what you're actually seeing on dating apps, and how to stop giving months or years to men who were never right for the life that you're building. It's completely free. I'm teaching it live on Monday. And yes, there will be a replay. So don't hesitate. Just go to the link in the show notes and save your seat. I can't wait to meet you. And come ready to stop asking, will he choose me? We're going to teach you how to choose well. I will see you there. Now go run the play. And one more thing, do me a favor. If this episode meant a lot to you, maybe you're thinking of a friend who needs it, just copy the link to this in a little text and say, hey, I think you'd be inspired by this episode. And make sure you subscribe and follow, and please do all the things so you don't miss the next play in the playbook, so you can build the life and the love that you want. Easy. Use me as your cautionary tale. This is your shortcut, girl. Now go run the play.